Hi, welcome to the Optimizing Your Brilliance podcast, where we get to the source of what makes people brilliant and explore how to eradicate the barriers that stop you from shining. By shining, I mean being at your absolute best in both work and life. You'll hear from business and thought leaders who bear all and share their insider secrets, along with my episodes focused on optimizing your performance, productivity, success, and well-being. My name is Estelle Reed, founder of Be, executive coach, speaker, and best-selling author of Inner Brilliance, Outer Shine, 10 Antidotes to Imposter Syndrome, Workaholism, and Stress. So, if you're ready to take your work life to the next level, let's begin. Alex Wickens is a very special person. She's a fearless stoic who will have a go at pretty much anything. Mindsets that I'm sure we all could benefit from hearing about. She describes herself as an amateur dramatics enthusiast, and we're going to tap into her expertise as someone who comfortably stands on stage and delivers engaging, entertaining performances. This is especially appropriate for my business audience because research into what people fear the most identified that presenting came first and death came third. Alex has many talents and can turn a hand to pretty much anything, as evidenced by her career, which has included being an interior designer, a lecturer, a senior business surveyor, and a community first responder. She also happens to be my Cumbrian bestie from when I lived here when I was 12. As a near teenager, her bravery rubbed off on me, and I would do whatever she would do, including going out on the lake, being towed by a mastercraft, and rehearsing for a play. What struck me when we reconnected after 40 years was her positivity, resilience, and the fact she's an all-round good egg. She also happens to make me laugh a lot and is definitely a radiator in my life. So I thought it'd be great to share her. So here goes. So welcome everybody. I'm here with Alex. Oh, we started already, haven't we? I knew it was going to be like this.
I have somebody behind me. It's like, where are they all?
So we already know she is my Cumbrian bestie, as I've already explained. So can we begin with your origin story? What makes you you?
Oh, goodness. I think the thing that sets me apart from other people is I was brought up in a hotel.
Yes.
So my parents ran a hotel on the edge of Windermere, and we moved here when I was 7. So I have basically been around loads of people, people from all different types, all different walks of life, all different careers, all different levels of success, because we had quite a few celebrities used to come to the hotel.
Ooh,
So,
who did you have?
oh, well, it was really funny. Going back a long time now, but back in the day, Billy Beaumont used to be up every weekend, and it was at the time when he was on. What was the? I can't remember the show that he was on, but he was on. He was on a game show, like a panel show type thing.
So you were saying that you were exposed to all sorts of different types of people and different levels of success and all that type of thing. So how did that influence you?
I'm not fazed by people, and I think that's. It's taken a while for me to realise that that's not normal for everybody. Do you know what I mean? It's normal for me, but it's not normal for everybody. And I've always just come across as really confident, but I think it's just the fact that from such a young age, I just spoke to everybody. And there's no barriers when you're a child. It doesn't matter. I once asked he rudely let me never let me have a go. But I did ask. I asked Noel Edmonds for going his helicopter because he landed it at the hotel. And rudely he said no, which I was quite offended by at the time. How rude, saying no to a young child. Um, but yeah, put me off Mr. Blobby for life. But
I'm not surprised.
but it was like, because my mum always used to say, well, if you don't ask, you don't get. And
Yes.
so I just went and asked him. He was around, so I went and asked him. I loved helicopters. I
But
also asked Mr. JCB if I could have a go in his helicopter, and he said no, but he was really polite, and he was like, "I'm really sorry. I would have let you have a go, but I've got to go to London. I've only got enough fuel to do it without stopping. So, unfortunately, you can't. But you can have a go in the powerboat racing boat, which was like this massive, like two not jet engines, but like two outboard engines, massive
yeah.
that they used to race just up the road from us at the powerboat club. And I was like, yeah, it's all right. It's not as good as a helicopter though. But I have to say, it was brilliant. He let my whole family go as well, so we all went, and it was brilliant. Like, and I would have never asked to have done that, but actually, it's one of those things that you go, I did that, and that was really cool. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you've no fear of asking either.
No, no. And when I started work, um, we got when I started work, I worked in private practice and housing associations and things like that, and then I ended up working at the local council, and we got a new CEO, and he sort of did his intro to everybody, and I was a surveyor, but I was only like, I don't know, 20, 22, 23, something like that. I don't think I was 23, I think it was like 22. And he said, I've got this open door policy. So you can come, it's an open door policy. Anybody can come in. So I did. My boss was like, "Where are you going?" I said, I'm going over to see if he wants to sponsor me for my skydive. And he was like, "All right." I said, "I'm just going to go around everybody." So I went in and I just introduced myself. And when I went back, my boss was just killing himself laughing. He was like, "Well, he's not going to forget you, is he?" And I was like, "Well, no, but I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing." But, I just went in, introduced myself, and said, "You've got an open door policy. Does that open door involve me walking through it and asking if you would like to sponsor me?"
Well, and let's just back up, because as part of my intro, I said you're fearless, you're dead brave, you're confident. Those are all things I love about you. Skydive, what was that like?
I mean, let's be honest, I'm a bit of a general adrenaline junkie. So I'd always quite liked the idea of a skydive, but I thought if I'm going to do it, I can't just do it for the can't just do it for the shits and gigs because I fancy it. There's gonna have to be purpose behind it. My mum and dad had always done charity events at the hotel, and money had always gone to Sandside School. So when I thought, I fancy doing a skydive, but I need to do it for a reason. So I thought, you know what, I'll do it for Sandside Lodge. When I was going round, I was going round like browbeating all my colleagues and complete strangers into sponsoring me. Um, it was good because it was a local charity, it was a local cause, it was a charitable event, and it was basically in our constituency because I was working for South Leyton District Council at the time, and Ulverston was underneath it. So it was like I'm doing this, and actually I'm doing it for something that we already kind of
Yeah.
promote anyway.
But what
So
was what was the so you've said you're an adrenaline junkie, which we know, and that was one of the things I discovered about you when we first became friends. Like, oh, we'll just go out with these visiting guests, and like one of the everlasting images I have of you is like, they chucked a rope out. You were out in the freezing cold lake, no wetsuit. They call it wild water swimming or
I
whatever
know,
else,
yeah,
don't
they've
they?
got a name for it now.
Yeah, yeah. You're just there bobbing about, and then you went right underneath the water, and then like popped up, and then what was
Oh,
it
so just
called?
body
Body
surfing,
surf. Oh yeah, there
body
you go.
surfing.
Even
Yeah,
then, you go, oh, it was just body surfing. Quite dangerous, really, wasn't it?
it's not as fast as barefooting. I had a go at that. I had a go at barefooting because my some of the lads that we used to go out with, one of them was a barefoot instructor. Well, in fact, he had been a barefoot instructor in America for a short bit, and then he came back. But he used to do loads of tournaments and everything. So we used to have to go out stupidly early in the morning, while there was no wind, because the lake has to be completely flat. You can't have any waves on it, no ripples or anything.
If
So we
you're
used to go out,
barefooting.
yeah, to do barefooting,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay.
so um so he said we used to do a skiing week, um and so they'd come up for a week and stay in the hotel, and then we'd all go out skiing. And we used to do spotting and driving the boat and stuff like that. And he said, he goes, well, do you want to go barefooting then? And I was like, well, I don't know, do I? And this is classic of the dynamic when I was younger. So I was the youngest. My sister was 3 years older, and then her friend who used to come down from Scotland, which is where I was born, but didn't really live for very long. She was like another year, 2 years older than her. So there's like a 5 year age gap between me and the eldest one there. And they always went, yeah, Alex will go first. So it was just always a given that if there was
Yeah.
ever anything to try, it was always me.
So in that
First.
moment, because this relates to skydiving, being on stage. So Alex will go first. So at what point do you not think, oh, what goes through your head before you embark on anything like that?
Well, not much, because there was just always a presumption that I would. It's like, well, she'll do it because she's up for anything. So I
Yeah,
did. You know what I mean? So, and I think you can often see in other people that they've got reluctance to do it.
yeah.
So you think, well, I'm not that reluctant, so I'll just do it. Like, what's the
And
worst that can happen? I
oh,
mean, I
there you
found
go.
out when I came off it. I went tumble turning across the water and got an eyeball wash. But you know, you live and learn. It's all part of life. Nothing's ever going to work out absolutely perfect first time out. I mean, I did do barefooting, and I'm not going to joke, not going to lie, but for somebody, when you're barefooting, you look like you sat on the toilet, because you just like your legs are at 90 degrees, your knees are at like proper 90
Right.
degrees, and then your arms are out the front. So for somebody who looked like they were going across the top of the lake and somebody whipped the toilet out from underneath them, I think I nailed it. I think I did really well.
But that's
I'm
the
going to take
other,
that.
yeah, good. And that's the other thing about you is that you have this strong self-belief. So two great things that you've just said there. What's the worst that can happen? We use that in coaching all the time, to try and shift people away from the fear or the procrastination or whatever else. And then nothing is going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we can stay stuck, can't we, in perfecting, and we don't get anywhere, do we? In
I
fact,
mean, the thing is, like, I mean, I've often thought I'm a bit of a perfectionist because I like things to be right.
yeah,
But I think what I've realised through life is my family always said I was really competitive, but actually, I'm not competitive with other people. I'm only competitive with myself.
yeah,
So I'm genuinely not bothered how well anybody else is. That sounds really dismissive, but it's not. I'm not competing with other people. I'm only
yeah,
ever competing with myself. So for me, I have to do the best that I can do. And when I let myself down, that's exactly it. I'm letting myself down more
yeah,
than I'm letting anybody else down, because my level of expectation is higher than other people's level of expectation. But I can't adjust it. I
yeah.
just
And
I always am striving. I
yeah,
have to give 100%. It doesn't
yeah,
matter if I give 100% and it's not great. It doesn't matter, because
yeah,
at least, well, that's something I'm not very good at then, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's just one
yeah.
of them. I can't expect to be good at everything in life. And hey ho, I've just found something that I'm really quite rubbish at. Um, but 9 out of 10 times, that's not the case. If you
Yeah,
actually do it, and you just think, I'll just give it a shot. What the hell? Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
I'll have a crack at
yeah,
that. How hard
yeah,
can it be? Is a classic
yeah,
mind. Like, how hard can it be? Do you know what I mean? So then you get into it, you're like, oh, it's a little bit more difficult than I thought. But I persevere because I'm very tenacious. So
yeah,
it's like, I'm not going to let this get the best of me. I'm going to try really hard and like do my best. And then if it
yeah.
works out, fantastic. If it doesn't work out, I'm not going to do it again.
No,
Stop
but
that. I'm not
that
doing it again.
But the point is, you give things a go.
Oh, absolutely,
And,
yeah.
and that again links to this bravery strength. So we are unearthing your autopilot, your unconscious programming, the thing that drives you, that enables you to be brave and try anything. And unusually, you said, so you are a last born.
Yeah.
So different in so when I was listening to you, I was thinking, oh, I wonder if this is like a Gen X thing or a something else thing. So classically, and these are sweeping generalizations, but firstborns are a certain way, secondborns are a certain way, and lastborns are a certain way.
Hmm.
And typically, the lastborn which is you, is classically competitive, whereas the firstborn is classically competitive with themselves. Because
Yeah.
I don't compete with anyone either. I'm not. The minute anyone tries to compete with me, I'm like, carry on. You
Yeah.
can win. You can win. I really am
Yeah.
not bothered. Um, so how is it you just compete with yourself? Where does that come from?
So to set the scene, I mean, you obviously know, but like the hotel was out of town.
Yeah.
Um, so it was like a
Tell
mile out
tell
of
them
town.
which hotel it was.
It was Storrs Hall.
Yeah.
So it's out of town.
Yeah.
Um, Parents seemed to work all the time. So I just like went to school, came back, and was left to my own devices. So I could never go into town and meet up with friends and stuff like that. Either I had to specifically go to friends' houses and arrange some way of getting back because they would be in the middle of service, or or have friends come out, but their parents would have to bring them out. You know what I mean? And then they would have to pick them up. So
Yeah.
there was always this kind of because of where we lived and because of the fact that mum and dad weren't available at certain times, which were
Yeah.
unsociable hours, um, if you wanted to do something, you had to make it happen. So in order to have to make it happen, you'd have to be convincing your mates that their parents would have to bring them out, or that like you could you go to theirs after school? Could they then take you to swimming club, and then did they want to come back to yours after swimming club for a bit? You know what I mean? So you always
Yeah.
trying to like engineer ways to do things
Yeah.
so that because I knew that if I asked my mum and dad, they weren't being rotten by saying no, they couldn't do it, but they would be in the middle of service. So,
Yeah.
mum would be in the restaurant, my dad would be like in the bar and flitting around reception and stuff like that. So it was their busiest time. So you knew that there was no expectation there of
Yeah.
them being able to do it. Do you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
just they can't, they're working.
Yeah.
And I think that I've kind of taken a bit of that through my life as well because I get very focused. If I'm working, I get really focused on my work, and then everything else seems to slide. Like not everything seems to slide, but things take a back seat. Like if I'm
Yeah.
at work, I'm at work. Don't disturb me. I'm at work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's because it's probably something somewhere in my psyche is because when mum and dad were at work, they were at work.
Yeah.
So I could possibly go over to the hotel and see them and ask them a quick question, but you'd get like a snippet of their attention. You wouldn't get the full thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
It's interesting as well, you were saying you have your own expectations of yourself.
yeah, I mean, so I think what really brought this home to me is that um, when I went to uni. I was the first one in the family to go to university. Um, I put a lot of pressure on myself. There was family pressure on me because I was the first one to go to uni.
Yeah.
But I put a lot of pressure on myself because I didn't want to fail. I don't like failure
Yeah.
of any sort. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
So
and why don't you like failure?
probably because I've got high expectations of myself.
Yeah, and where,
You know
so
what I mean?
to close that loop, so then where do those high expectations come from? You know,
Well, I think because my nature is I just throw myself into things.
Yeah.
And I just presume that I'm going to be able to at least give it a good crack. And it's never going to be really, really rubbish because I won't allow it to be. You know what I mean? So whatever it is, if I sign up for anything, that's it. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to give it an absolute good. If it's not for me, it's not for me. Or I want to do something else, I'll do something else. I'm not. I don't. It's not a failure if I've given it a good crack and then it wasn't for me.
How did you get into theatre? Because the last time I ever saw you
Yeah.
was we were rehearsing for a play.
Don't tell me we were squirrels. We were woodland creatures, weren't we? Were you
I
a woodland
don't,
creature with me?
I've, I cannot, I was only doing it because you were doing it. That is
You'd have been
like,
a woodland creature. I was
so,
a squirrel. Made my own tail and everything.
it's totally not me being on stage. But again, this is a classic example of how you get swept along with Alex. Like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. So I did, but
Go wrong.
it'll be fine, So like, and I was really quite happy to be in your shadow, like Mrs. Behind the scenes. And it was after that rehearsal that I went home and my mum said, right, we're leaving and we're leaving now. And I never saw you again. Not until,
Yeah.
we upped and left that night. And then I think it was probably about 18 months after, and I met you in Bowness.
Came down to
Um,
Lancaster once because I remember coming
you
on the train.
did. You
Did.
did.
I
Yeah,
did,
because
yeah, because my
yeah.
grandparents had lived in Lancaster. So I was like, oh, yeah, I'll just go down to Lancaster on the train.
Yeah, yeah.
I nearly
No,
wet
I.
myself, like, because I thought I was going to get on the wrong train or something on the way back. Because it's like the back
Oh,
of beyond.
bless
Not
you.
everything stops at Oxenholme. So
No,
I did
no.
do that once. My granddad
Yeah.
once put me on a train when we first moved up. He was only little, and we'd gone down to see them. And again, mum and dad can't pick us up, so my granddad takes us to the train station. They're going to pick us up from the train station at Oxenholme. So my granddad asked about three people. Was this the train that was going to Oxenholme? Yes, it was. He put us on. It didn't stop at Oxenholme. We didn't dare sit down because we didn't want to miss our stop. So we just stood in the doorway, as you do, like
Oh,
looking, because we were like, oh, it's only like two stops or something. So we just stood in the doorway, and then Oxenholme just came and went, and it was like, oh shit, what do we do now? It didn't
that
stop till
happened.
it got to Carlisle.
That
It was
happened
a
to
through train. It didn't stop till it got to Carlisle. We had
Daisy.
no
Had the
money on us. We
same.
were little children.
How old were you?
Uh, I was probably about I say little children, probably about 10.
Yeah, it was different back then, wasn't it?
Oh, I know.
Because
Like as a parent, you'd absolutely pap yourself now, wouldn't you?
oh
If
my
that
God, yeah.
happened to your
Well,
kids.
the same happened with Daisy. She came from Lancaster to Oxenholme, and my mum and her partner were like, "Yeah, the next train will be yours." So she got on it, and she shot off to Carlisle as well. So it's obviously a thing.
It's the
And
draw of Carlisle.
it is, yeah. But so going back to you being on stage, how did you get into amateur dramatics?
Um, I blame the kids. Yeah. So it was just it was on at the local lake school where you and I went to school.
Yeah.
And so they did a pantomime just once a year, pantomime every January. Totally unpantomimey time of year to do it after all the pantomimes have been on at Christmas. But there's method in the madness. They do it because then they can get all the scenery once it's finished on
Ah.
the bigger stages down south. So I used to take them in January when we weren't snowboarding to go and watch the local amateur dramatics things. And I remember seeing a lass I went to school with, and I don't know whether you will remember her, but it was she's now Sonia Fallowfield, but she was Sonia Crawford, I think. Was she a Crawford then?
I can't remember a Sonia.
Um, and um, and Sonia was on stage, and she was really good. And I was like, bloody hell, that's Sonia! Like, what's Sonia doing on the stage? Right?
Yeah.
It was like these are just normal people on the stage. They're not special. They're just normal people on the stage. I know them. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I
So
was like,
yeah, you
oh
normalized it then. You
yeah,
normalized it. Yeah, they're
yeah.
not special, they're just normal.
They're just normal people. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna have a crack at that. So I did know somebody else actually. Well, I got to know somebody else over the years, just through an exercise class who was also in the pantomime. So I was like, oh, so how do you get into it then? And he was like, oh, you have to do auditions and everything, and we do them in July or September. And I was like, okay, cool. So let me know when the auditions are. Anyway, he didn't let me know when the auditions were. So then they started rehearsals, and I was like, well, I, I've missed the auditions. How do I get in it? And he was like, oh, well, you'll just have to turn up to rehearsals. So I was like, okay then. So I just literally turned up. I mean, that was one of those moments, like when like um, where American Werewolf in London, where they go in the pub and they're all like gassy, gassy, gassy. Everybody's chat in the pub, and then like the main characters walk in and there's just silence in the pub. That was me walking in to the audition to the first rehearsals because
How did
he
you
hadn't
how
he hadn't
did you
even told them I
feel?
might have turned up. He
So
didn't even tell them I was coming.
so in that moment, what was going through your head? Because as I was saying on the intro, so studies show that when they did a survey of what people fear the most, death
Yeah,
came third.
yeah.
First was presenting or being on stage. Second is walking into a crowded room full of people you don't know. So you'd got potentially a double fear going on there. So what was going through your mind as you walked in? Were you
I
papping
mean,
your pants or were you
I
just
walked in and I was just like, oh shit. Like you just have that moment and you're like going, yeah, no, nobody's expecting me. No, nobody knows I'm coming. And it's like, just keep walking because it was like a big dance floor thing, right? Which was like the stage, but it was just a dance floor, but we were using that as a
yeah?
stage. And I was like, it was just a long walk of shame across it to where everybody was sat. And I was like, you've
Ah.
started this walk, you might as well just carry on because you're going to look more of a tit if you turn around and walk out now. So I just carried on walking and I just walked over and I just went, hi, I'm here to join Panto. And
Good for
they just
you.
like looked at me. And then I looked at the lad I knew and I was like, hello, can you help me out here? Thanks. And, and I said, oh, he told me to come and to be in chorus. So I was just in chorus the first year.
Yeah. And
So that was
and
my
what
initiation.
what was your first like performance like? How did you feel?
Oh, I was nervous the first time round. I was nervous because all I'd been was a woodland animal when you abandoned me. Um, even with my exceptional squirrel tail made out of tights, and wire. But anyway, um, yeah. So I was nervous, but I was like, well, you know, the audience is only made up of people. It's just other people. You know what I mean? So it's like we're all just people. Like nobody's special. We
Yes,
all have the same bodily functions. We might have our own baggage. We might have our own life experiences, but you know,
so
I'm
you're
putting myself
not
out
you
there. I'm up here, so you can either enjoy it or you can leave. Or you can be the person going, "Oh my god, did you see that woman? She was totally out of time." You know what I mean? People judge, don't they? So,
Yeah.
but it was like, yeah, no. But I think the thing is, I think that the thing with it is when I was in chorus, I was part of a group. I never had to speak on my own. You
Yeah.
just had to sing. I can't even sing properly, but they just let you do it anyway. So hey ho, you can just sing quietly. Okay, cool, I'll do that. So it was like, yeah, you've got a bit of cover. You're not you're not so on your own. You're not so isolated. Even though there's these spotlights on in your face and everything, it's just like you kind of can only half see the audience. So it's not too bad. But I think the following year, I think they were like, oh well, she's up for this. So the following year, I auditioned and I got the part of the baddie, and I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about being a baddie. And then I was like, because you've got no cover, basically, because
Yes.
often the baddie is just on their own, or they might have a sidekick. If you're lucky, you'll have a sidekick, and then you've got somebody you can bounce off. But a lot of the time, the baddie's on their own, and they're just on the stage on their own. And I thought, well, you can either look at this two ways, right? You can either look at it and you go, I've got no cover and
Yeah.
happy pants, or you can look at it and think, well, like it's up to me then, isn't it? So if I mess this up, I've got myself has to bring it back around again. You know what I mean?
And
Because
so
there's only you there.
how do you not mess things up then? So what's your
You can't not mess things up.
but you were saying earlier like you
It's all
give a
about
hundred.
preparation.
So
So
how do you
basically,
prepare?
well, I just learn my lines. I just learn my lines. I learn my lines, and then I make sure that I do know my lines.
Yeah.
It sort
And
of
how do you know your lines?
uh well, what how I do it is I hate this, but I record myself
Yeah.
normally with members of my family playing other parts. And then I just record myself. And then if I was walking to work or if I'm in the car driving somewhere, I just put it on. And so I hear the cues from the other people.
Yeah.
So then I know my cue. So then I know to speak after the cue. And you get to the point where it's almost a bit like muscle memory, where you hear something and you know that your response is that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Or if things are too repetitive, because sometimes when you're the baddie, they're just always bad and they're always trying to get back to the bloody palace, and they're always trying to, you know, palm off the main person, and put a spanner in the works. So it's pretty much the same old, same old. You're always up to mischief. So often some of the lines are quite repetitive because you have to keep reminding the audience that you are a baddie, and that your mission here is to scupper whatever the main characters are doing, because you just can't help yourself because you're the baddie. So there are times when you have to kind of memorize a sequence. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So that you kind of know what's coming next, because you're also in the situation where when there's other people on stage, if they don't say their line and they're your feeder line,
Yeah.
then you're like, pretty sure I'm due to say something soon, but I haven't heard my feeder line. So you're like,
So
do
what
you
do
know
you
what?
do?
I might just blurt it out now anyway. So you kind of like think for when it's you do get those moments on stage where everybody's like, all the actors just like looking at each other, going, "Is it you? Is it me? Is it her? Who is it? Who's speaking? Somebody needs to speak. Who needs to speak?" So there'll always be somebody who'll just say something, and 9 out of 10 times I'll just go, "Well, it could be me," and I'll just like say something. It could be me, and I'll just like say whatever. You know what I mean? So I mean, you do have those like rabbit in a headlight moments. But I always remember the producer said to me, he was like, "You just don't want to be a rabbit in the headlights. You don't want that acknowledgement of you being a rabbit in the headlights. So you can internally you can realize you've messed up."
Yeah.
And like my classic is, again, it's my own stupid fault because I take everything to the nth degree. So I was a baddie, and a friend of mine was my sidekick. So, and she was dead laid back with it. You know what I mean? She'd been doing it for years, dead naturally funny, just dead laid back with it. And she didn't care if she forgot her lines. She was like, doesn't matter. It's not really integral to the plot. I'm just a sidekick. What does it matter? So I'd get on with her, but the pair of us would, because I perceive your job as a baddie is to rally the crowd. So there's two people in a panto that have to really interact with the crowd and get them going, get them on board. And one is the like bouncy, jovial Jack the Lad type character, and the other one's the baddie. So you've got to have yin and yang. So the baddie has got to completely get them all booing them and interacting, because it's no fun for anyone if they're just sat there, going entertain me. The whole point they've come is they need to be involved in it. So you come out and it's not scripted a lot of the time. You come out and you're like, they boo you, and you're like, and then you go, I'm sorry, what? It's like, is that all you've got? And then you
Yeah.
backwards and forwards, and you're like, right, okay, I'm going to challenge you. Let's hear you lot over here booing. Let's hear you lot over there booing, and get them like trying to outboo
So
each
you're
other.
doing that off script. So that's
Yeah,
off
yeah,
script.
because part of your job is, it's like an unspoken thing, but part of your job, depending on what the character is, but it is to engage with the audience. And I think
Yeah.
people forget that. It doesn't, I
Yeah.
think if you're any character, you need to engage with the audience, but I think it's especially required in certain roles. And
It's
I just
it's
loved it. I
it's
just loved it.
required in business as well, though. Exactly,
Exactly.
because
You've got to engage with people.
when people are presenting, they can get, so if I'm training folk to present, they get so kind of, and me included, have done, get so hung up on, well, this was my line, this is what I was going to say next, and there's something on my slide, and I don't know what that means. And, going back to your rabbit in the headlights, it's about, using that emotional intelligence to go, right, what's happening to my audience out there?
Yeah,
And, one of the things I'll say is, don't go, oh, I've just made a mistake, or I've just forgotten my lines, or, so the rabbit in the headlines
yeah.
lights situation. You said something earlier, and often, so if I'm teaching people, I'll say, look, just take a breath. Or I said, if you're feeling really confident, I said, I just take the piss out of myself now.
Yeah.
Um,
And people
and
love it because it
yeah,
humanizes
yeah,
you.
it is exactly. You're humanizing the experience. But you were saying earlier about your director or whoever it was said, or producer said, don't be the rabbit in the headlights. And you said internally you can. So tell me, finish off that sentence. What can you do at that
So,
moment when you're screwing up? What do you
well, I
do?
think that I don't know, my perception of time is different. I was once in a car accident and honestly, time slowed down, right? And I think that's what happens as well. So you mess up, you realize you've forgotten, like you've totally gone off piste, you've
Yeah.
interacted amazingly with the audience, and then you think, oh shit, I need to say my lines. Like, where am I? Like, and you stand there, and internally you're going, I have no idea where I am in the script. I have no idea. It's just a monologue. I've got no idea what I'm supposed to be saying. I got halfway through it, and then the audience distracted me, so I started playing with them, and now like I'm still backwards and forwards in with them because I've realized before I finish backwards and forwards with them that I have no idea where I am in the script. So I keep the backwards and forwards in going to give myself a bit of time
Yeah.
to get back on script. And then like sometimes that works and
Yeah.
then sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, you just have to own it. You just have to own it. So like because I think that people they do enjoy it. People enjoy watching you mess up. You know,
Yeah.
to me, not in a horrible way, just because it does humanize it and it makes it more personable for people because
Yeah.
they can identify with you and stuff like that. And so I had it one time when I had my mate as a sidekick, and she'd forgotten her lines going on, and was just merrily carrying on with the scene. And I'm like, Gob, like I'm sure you'd probably find that really romantic, wouldn't you? Or something like that. And she's like, oh yeah, I would, yeah. And then that cued her, and she went back on. Literally in like within about on in the same scene, right? So that was at the beginning of the scene. In the same scene, get the audience going. I completely forget where we are. So internally, I'm going, well, I've said this, I've said that, but where am I going next with it? Honestly, I can't remember. I've done this, I've done that, and blah, blah, blah. Like, and because some things were quite repetitive, you just generally, you've said that, but is it the first time you said that? Or is it like, have you said it the second time? Have you not said? So all this is like, and time slows
Yeah.
down, and you're just processing everything. And then in this particular instance, I turned round to Rachel and I was like, so Gob, do you know what we're doing now? And she was like, I haven't got a clue what my lines are. I don't know yours. So I was like, oh, cheers, mate. So I was like, oh, thanks, Gob. I know not to rely on you. And then I just turned around and we do have a prompt. So I turned around to the prompt and I was like, so, Kath, do you know where we're supposed to be? And bearing in mind, this prompt has never had to prompt me before. I've
Yeah.
never missed a cue.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And she's not even reading the script. She's like 5 pages behind. So she's sat there, like quickly swiping through her book, her script, trying to figure out where we are. And she goes, back to the palace. You need to go back to the palace. And I'm like, great idea, Kath. Why didn't I think of that sooner? And then you like launch into something else. Do you know what I mean? But
Flipping it.
it's like time slows down and you still have that oh shit moment on stage, And you've still got that absolute realization that you've got no idea what you're supposed to be saying next
So,
and what you've already said. Do you know
so
what I mean?
when
That you have it and it sits with you.
as that's what I was going to ask you next. So when it sits with you, so when we screw up or we make a mistake or we feel judged because, we're really exposed, aren't we, when we're on
Yeah,
stage? How, like for me, I will rewind a tape. I'm a terrible tape rewinder, as
yeah.
in when I screw up, I'll go, oh, what did I do there? Often it's after the event, so I'm usually driving away from an event, but not in a, in the olden days, I used to be really bad. I used to be really self-critical. I've learned to just be more measured about it and go, do you know what? That bit was great, but that bit was shite. Um, and this is what I've learned. And I'm not going to do that again. How do you, so when you have those oh shit moments and, you're at risk of being judged either by other people or by yourself, what's your process after that?
Humor.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Humor.
Yeah.
I'm only human and I'm allowed to make mistakes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Not a life or death situation. This
Yeah.
is for fun, allegedly. So,
Yeah.
so it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. So you just own it and you just go, well, that went a bit off piste or whatever, you know what I mean? Just kind of bring a little bit of humour into it and people forgive you because we are all
Yeah.
human. We've all made mistakes. We've all like said the wrong word or forgotten where we were in something or just completely and utterly, dropped the ball on something. Everybody's done it to some
Yeah.
extent. So I think you've just got to give yourself a break. At the end of the day, I think you do. My take on it is you have to do your best, right?
Yeah.
And if your best means that you cock up occasionally, then own it and then just try and ride it out, but in as palatable way as you can. So introducing humor into that
Yeah.
kind of it actually draws people in. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of them sat there crossing their arms, going, "Oh, well, she's cocked up there, hasn't she?" Do you know what I mean? You just kind of like you're like, "Whoa!" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. Why didn't I think of that? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I knew you'd be good at all this stuff. You have a fantastic inner dialogue. So no, I knew you'd, I knew that it'd be like a pep talk for people and that, all that inner dialogue that you're using. So I refer to it as your inner captain. So we have an inner critic and we have an inner captain. And you have a strong inner captain because I talk about different voices as well. I have a piss taker, the humour. I have a Mrs. Whiplash, now pull yourself together. And I also have my cheerleader, which is, motivational, supportive.
yeah,
And I can hear all of that going on. So, for some quick fire questions now,
go on.
what was your favourite role?
Uh, I enjoy being a baddie, but I really enjoyed being Buttons. But
Yeah,
then not last year, but the year before, um, randomly they asked me to be a donkey. So I was like, not as in like the back end of a donkey.
yeah.
So
A
so they
full
asked me
donkey.
an actual no, think
Yeah.
like Shrek. The idea was that you'd be like a bit like Donkey in Shrek.
Okay.
So I actually found that really liberating because number one, I was in this massive suit, right? That
Yeah.
that honestly it was comical, this suit. I was absolutely melting in it. I was roasting. But because it was just like this, it was just this like it was just like this wacky role that they just dropped into the pantomime. So it had absolutely no bearing on the storyline. So you could absolutely just do what the hell you wanted with it. And I was with my best mate on stage and like a really good friend in real life anyway. And so he is very, very good on stage. He's naturally dramatic. and just doesn't care. Do you know what I mean? So it was lethal putting us two together. Honestly, the rest of the cast, it just you could see them like cowering when we were together on stage because they just didn't know what we were going to do because neither of us cared. We were just like we'd throw something at the other on purpose just to see what they'd do. Do you know what I mean? Like because I turned around one day and I was like, cheese jokes, is it? Because he had a scripted cheese joke, and I was like, I've got a cheese joke, and I knew he had another cheese joke because he told me it the day before, and so I just told my cheese joke. And then I turned to him and I went, I know you've got a cheese joke. And he's like, I haven't got a cheese joke. I went, yes, you have got another cheese joke. And so like, and then he was like, and I was like, the mirror one. He was like, oh yeah. So then he remembers. And you just, but the audience can tell that you've just like you've done it out of naughtiness factor.
Do you get in?
It doesn't matter.
Do you get into trouble by the team for being so spontaneous?
I think I don't know whether I'm talking out. I think sometimes I get a little bit intimidated by us because honestly, I don't care. I just don't care. And now I've met somebody else who doesn't care either.
Yeah.
So it's just wicked. It's just wicked.
And
We got split last year on purpose, I think, because we were just too comfortable on stage together. So they split us on purpose.
How do you get to a point where you just don't care? So is it a maturity thing, a experience or competence thing? How do you get to?
I don't know. I mean,
because sometimes
for a long time, but
yeah.
I've been part of them for like 13 years. I think we missed one because of COVID.
Yeah.
I missed one because I had some operations. So, but yeah, I've done. But then I still went on stage anyway. I just went on and was like, "It's behind you, person," even though I wasn't even supposed to be on stage. I still managed to get myself on there. I just didn't have to go into any rehearsals. But yeah, I think part of it is. I think part of it's how you approach it because often you get people who join the group and then they're like, "Oh my god, I'm shitting myself. I don't know what I'm going to do." And what do you do if it all goes wrong? And I went, "Well, you just have to stand there and you just have to like react. Do you know what I mean? And if you genuinely don't know where you are, then you can ask somebody else on stage, or you can like in a jokey way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't just stand there with your eyes like out on stalks and your mouth wide open, looking like there's this massive void inside of you, because there is a massive void inside of you, and you can't access anything because it's just all disappeared. So don't look like that, even if you might feel like that. Don't look like it. Just
oh, so that's the outside
throw
thing.
it to somebody else. Throw it to somebody else, or ask somebody else. Like you've got a prompt, ask her. Just do something.
Yeah.
But don't just literally stand there with your mouth on the floor and your eyes like out on stalks, looking like your world has just ended. Because
so there's an element of faking it till you make it, isn't there? Then
so
whatever's going on inside, out there, you fake you're like swan syndrome, pedaling like Billy-O, gliding, surfing on the surface. Can I just ask you, as a female to female, how has the perimenopause impacted you? You know, like when it comes to like rehearsing lines or being on stage, do you ever have any kind of mind bomb moments? Because I went through that. I seem to have come out the other side, but it's a lot better since I've been on drugs.
Well, I found that it definitely. So I think I started it when I was about like, I think I started it when about 40, 39, 40, something like that.
Yeah.
And then I started perimenopause sort of about 46 or something like that. So I'd had a few years in it. And so I'd kind of got used to it. And I'd almost got to the point where I didn't really get stage fright.
Yeah.
Which kind of became a little bit annoying because and I think that was part of the perimenopause as well, because I think I got to the stage where I was just like, fuck it, like, you know what I mean? It's like what can go wrong, and if it goes wrong, it's not the end of the world. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I got even more laissez-faire about it all, which is not great, because sometimes you need that buzz of adrenaline.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Which is probably why I like interacting with the audience, because then at least you feel like there's a bit of danger there. You feel like you've got that
Yeah.
interaction. It kind of reminds you that you are doing something a bit different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're actually backwards and forwards with the audience, especially if it's off script, because obviously there's no safety net. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I think that yeah, I think learning my lines was more difficult, and also I found that when things were repetitive, I found it much harder to remember which bits I'd already done
Yeah, that's what
because
I struggled with.
you know what I mean? So, and I think that's probably why I then brought in the sequence. So I'd almost say to myself, like, oh yeah. So what I actually started doing was like, right, okay, this is act one. This is like scene three. This is the one where and I would tell myself I enter from this side of the stage, or I do this, or I have this in my hand. I'm with this person. My opening's going to be this. It's always the bloody same. You know what I mean? Often it's like, oh, laugh, 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 chat, 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 or
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like you kind of have to differentiate it. So I think
Right.
that
Yeah. So
you
you've
sort of,
added other elements into it, haven't you, to remember it?
yeah, yeah, like associations type thing.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And
That's a good tip.
yeah, so it's like because I've got this thing called aphantasia, so I don't actually see anything in my head, right? But
Hmm.
I visualize things, but I don't see them.
Right.
So I don't get like an image of it. But what I'll do is, so when I'm learning something, I'll be like, okay, so I enter now, and like I'm the third person back, or I enter first, and then they come second, and then we move this. And often you think when I'm saying this line, I'm normally walking in that direction.
Oh, right. Okay.
So often you've got a prompt or something, so you'll just automatically start walking in a certain direction because you know you've got to walk in that direction. And you think, shit, there's a line that goes with this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're like, oh, hang on a second, I need to say so and so. Or you'll know that there's a line coming up, and you'll just, because you've rehearsed it, you know that you're automatically supposed to go that way. I mean,
See,
it throws you completely out when the director changes it all just before the show, and you're
yeah.
like, oh shit,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Okay.
But
But what you've done cleverly is you've connected two senses together. So what you're saying, so your auditory sense, what you're saying with your kinesthetic sense, movement.
yeah.
And that's really impressive. What do you get out of panto?
Well, you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm not doing it this year, and I think it's probably because my comfort zone's got too wide. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, do you know what?
Yeah.
It's not challenging anymore.
Yeah.
It's not enough of a challenge anymore.
Yeah.
So so I'm like, I don't really need to do it. I don't need to do it. I don't mind being involved, doing other
Yeah.
things, but I don't need to be
Yeah.
on the stage because it's actually not challenging enough for
Yeah.
all the effort that you put in for it.
And
It's not enough of a challenge.
what does challenge do for you? What does that get for you?
Well, I like to learn. I like to be learning, or I at least like to feel like I'm learning something.
Yeah.
Um, and so if things aren't challenging you, they're not kind of making you explore other things or
Yeah. Yeah.
challenging the way you think about something or challenging your knowledge on a certain subject. Or do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm a great believer in everything happens for a reason, and
Yeah.
you are here to learn.
Yeah.
Everything that happens in life is a learning
Yes.
experience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I agree.
when the shit hits the fan, it's not great at the time,
Yeah.
right? But you have to learn from it. So you either have to learn, you either try something and that doesn't work, so you change your behavior next time, or you ride it out and then retrospectively you go, right, okay, that was shit, but
Mm.
what have I learned from that then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. So,
And whether it's like people letting you down. Like I was let down as a kid. Well, I say as a kid, I was a kid. I was at uni, but like my parents they didn't get in touch with me. They had a phone call from my tutor, and I was working in Carlisle. They didn't phone me and tell me. So an opportunity was missed. I should have just driven straight down to Liverpool, but the opportunity was missed because they didn't realise the importance of the telephone call. They were busy working, so they just didn't even bother phoning me. So you only need to be let down by people
Mm-hmm.
significantly
Mm-hmm.
once or twice in your life, and you bloody learn from it, or
Yeah.
you need to be learning from it, because otherwise you're just setting yourself up for a fall again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that, you say, where does it come from that you're kind of self-motivating and you've got this sort of self-belief and stuff like that? Well, it's like, if I can't do it, I can't necessarily rely on somebody else to do it. That's kind of
Yeah.
what I've learned. So it's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm just gonna have a crack, because I can't I can't be sure that,
Yeah.
other people are gonna do their bit. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think
Yeah.
that's it's a horrible thing to say, because then you don't give people any credit for anything. But I think if you've been let down in life, then you have to have the courage of your own convictions.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you have to think, right, okay, well, I've learned from that, and so I'm not going to put myself in that position again. Or, you know what I mean? I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Or I'm not going to leave that decision down to somebody else. I'm going to
Yeah.
make it that that's my decision. You know what I mean? And so I
Yeah.
think you just have to look at anything that happens in life and go, right, what can I take from this? You know what I mean? I mean,
What?
you know what I'm like. I've had crap health in the last year, right?
Are you
So
are you going to tell the audience what you've been dealing
yeah,
with?
so I had in 2021 I had a melanoma on my back, and then had that removed, had sentinel lymph nodes removed. Happy days, cracked on with life as per usual. Once I'd got over the recovery period, 6 weeks later, I'm just like trying to get my life back together again. And then in January, actually on opening night last year, I I had found a lump, I had a pain, found a lump underneath my arm, and the melanoma cells had moved internally. So all of the medical professionals were freaking out. So I sort of knew it wasn't great, but equally, I thought, well, it doesn't have to be. Do you know what I mean? If we've caught this, if we can do surgery, if we can have treatment, if we can do whatever, you've got to give it a crack, haven't you? So it's like, this has happened, shit happens. So how are we going to react to it? Because you can't control stuff. You can only control how you behave in response
Yeah.
to it. You can only control
Yeah.
your own behavior and your own reaction to something. So therefore, for me, I am a glass half full type of
Yeah.
person. So therefore, for me, it's like, right, okay, this has happened. Not ideal. Do you know what I mean? But what have we learned from this? Do you know what I mean? And I think that, as
What
you
did
know,
what go on? What did you learn?
well, as you know, I've never been spiritual or religious or anything like that, right? Previously, even though we've always joked and said my mum was one of a clan of witches, because she's got four sisters. She's one of four. She's got three sisters, and we always said that they used to know what each other was thinking. But I'd never really subscribed to it myself. I dabbled in stuff just for the laugh factor because other people were doing it, but I never really got involved. But honestly, I've had a right turnaround, and all of a sudden, I started thinking, so why has this happened to me? Because there must be a reason. Like, why have I got it again? Like, I had it once, I got over it.
Yeah.
That's my challenge. Here's your obstacle. Climb over it. Carry on. Right? Why have I got it again? What have I not
Yeah.
learned? Like, what did I not do? And so I thought, right, well, there must be a reason for it. And even though I didn't want to admit it to myself at the time, the job that I was in, which I thoroughly enjoyed, I really, really enjoyed. I was working as an interior designer and doing project management and stuff like that, like commercially for hotels and restaurants and stuff like that. And I loved it. I loved it. Like, it just was so easy for me. It was very creative, and but it was technical at the same time. I managed finances and stuff like that. So I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But the actual work environment, I never realised, because I'm not a stressy person, but was actually quite stressful. Even
Yeah.
though I wasn't processing the stress in my head, I think
Yeah.
my body was processing it. And one of the
Yeah.
things that's happened as a result of the immunotherapy is that I now don't produce the stress hormone cortisol.
Right.
So I have done so much research into this because I like to know. I like to know facts and figures.
Mm.
I like to know why things happen, why things don't happen, how you can help it, if there's anything you can do, blah, 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 blah. I like to, if something happens, I like to understand why. I was
Yeah.
always that really annoying kid that if I said to you, oh, why? And you said, oh, because I said so, then you were in trouble because I wouldn't accept that. And then I would then start acting up because I needed more information. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just go
Yeah.
and ask everybody what it meant. Do you know what I mean? And if you were trying
Yeah.
to palm me off because it was a inappropriate question, then you just shot yourself in the foot because I didn't get the right answer. So I'm therefore going to go and ask somebody else. So I'm a bit like that. I have to know reasoning behind stuff. I have to know logic behind stuff. There has to be something else there. Do you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
I can understand and I can try and get my head around, and then I can try and do something, whatever I can do to try and mitigate the situation or improve the situation or try and take some control or responsibility for what's gone on or whatever. You know what I mean?
So
Um,
what did you conclude then? Because so if your body had been stressed and it was your body reacting to the environment and you went off and you did your research, what did you come
I
away
think
with?
that I think that despite loving the job, I think the environment was toxic.
Yeah.
I think that it was just um it was just somebody else's shit that I was always dealing with, and it wasn't even work shit.
Yeah.
It was like emotional, um, and not just like supporting other, because you support your friends, you support your colleagues, especially if you're working with women and stuff like that. You have open dialogue about stuff because things are happening to us all. Our bodies are doing their own little jolly things because we're similar ages. You know what I mean? So, you know there are other factors at play. So you try and be there emotionally as
Hmm.
well as being there professionally in your work capacity. You try and be there for people, but there was just too much of colleagues' lives just
So how
yeah,
will
I've lost
you
my
t
word now, but like just
yeah,
encroaching on the
yeah,
actual work environment. So I never just went to work and worked.
yeah,
I went to work and then I firefighted for other people. So then because I've always been one who tries to understand situations, understand behavior. Well, they've maybe done that because of this. I've always played devil's advocate,
mm,
much to the annoyance sometimes of my family, because I don't just go, yeah, I go,
mm,
I know, I get that, but have you
mm,
ever thought that maybe they're approaching it from this direction, or you don't put any significance on what you've just said because you don't have any triggers for that.
mm,
Well, they might. You know what I
mm.
mean? Just because you've not got an issue with that doesn't mean to say that somebody else hasn't. So that little throwaway remark, it's not offended you, but they feel like it should have done because it's actually really offended them. Do you know what I mean? But like,
Mm.
it might be water off duck's back for you, and then somebody might say something completely innocently, but it's a trigger for you, and you're like, "Whoa, that
So,
was rude." Do you know what I mean? So
so what are you going to do differently going forward to so you've learned all of that, that you're making connections with your health. What's going to be different for you going forward as a result of that learning?
well, I've made the executive decision that I'm not going back to work as in that same job.
Yeah,
So that's
good for you.
my like this isn't actually healthy for me.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Um, and so I'm not going to go back into it. Now, I thought when I was younger because I really enjoyed work and I love being good at stuff. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
I love succeeding. I like doing
yeah,
something well. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
I definitely get a kick out of it. I feel rewarded. Um, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be paid for it. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? It can just be anything. Do you know what I mean? So, um, I thought that giving that up when I had the kids was going to be really, really hard for me. Um, but I sort of balanced it with I had actually basically paid for the house I'd basically put all the deposit down on our house, and my husband only put 10 grand in because of our circumstances. So I'd come into our relationship with the lion's share of money, and he's just had to work his ass off since. But you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I actually, when I gave up work with the kids, and I thought, this is my new job, so I am 100%
Yeah.
focused on this, and I'm actually okay with now not earning any money because I feel like this wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for what I'd already achieved in life,
Yeah. Yeah.
and what I brought to the party. We wouldn't have been able to have this. So I don't feel guilty. And I thought I would feel guilty, but I didn't feel guilty. And so I think this time round, being able to walk away from this, I feel less guilty because I think I needed to be given an exit. I think my take on it is I needed to be given an exit strategy because I don't think I would have looked for one myself
Why
because
not?
I enjoyed my job. I liked supporting my friend, um, and because I troubleshoot people as well as situations,
Mm.
like I felt like it was really beneficial for her. It was like a counselling session every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where we'd just chat through things, and you kind of your outlook does rub off on people if
Yeah.
you're with them a lot, for a lot of time. And so I do think that I had given a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd given a lot of myself
Yeah.
as well, not just to work, just to try and help her situation and stuff like that. So and try and make a success of the business and stuff like you're giving a lot of yourself, and you think that's okay until you realize it's not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
one way,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're actually you're giving all your power away, you're giving all your energy away, you're giving
Yeah.
all your attention away, and then you think, shit, actually, I need to keep some for me, and I need to
Mm.
keep some for my family as well. So I think since I've been ill, my dad's died, my mum's on her own, my mum's been ill. So I'm now in a situation I'm thinking, I wouldn't even have time because I'm
Mm.
now being that for other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
then sort of like you sort of just redirect your attention, redirect your energies.
You
I
are
mean, I'm
brilliant.
laughing because my husband's just gone off. I said to you earlier, I said he's gone off looking at a bloody van because he says to me, right? He said to me in COVID that he would like to do up a camper van. Except when Mark says he wants to do up a camper van, he's really good at electrics, but he means he wants me to do up the camper van, and he'll just do the electrics on it, and I have to do everything else. So I stupidly said we went to the air tattoo in Swindon the other week, and we were camping, and the tent died, and so it was its last outing, and so I said to him, I said, "Oh, you never know. Like we could maybe have a camper van next time," and that was it. It's like I have lit the litmus paper, and
So,
Mark's now going off looking at camper vans because in his head now I that's me agreeing 100% to do up a camper van, to do a van into to convert a van into a camper van. I've never done this before. Can we just say I've never done this
yeah.
before? But there's just
But
this
you'll but
expectation
you'll
that
give it a go. But you'll
I'll
give it
give
a
it a
go.
go. Yeah, I know.
Right. We're gonna bring things to a close.
Yeah, because I
You are
digress
you
about
are
everything.
no, you were brilliant. I knew you'd be brilliant, and you are brilliant. There's just been so many nuggets of genius as we've gone throughout this conversation. And, like just everything that you've been through. I wasn't going to disclose what you've been through. I wanted you to volunteer that yourself. How do you maintain your positivity?
Sheer ignorance.
I don't believe that for 1 minute.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think, what's the point of living if you're not going to live? It's just readjusting your outlook, I think. So
Mm,
I keep saying this is my new normal.
yeah.
So things I would have just not bat an eyelid at before. I'd started running and I absolutely loved it. Loved it.
Mm,
I'm not built for running. The only thing I've ever run for is a bus. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't in my genetic makeup. I've never been a runner, but I started running and loved it. I loved getting out on the hills. I went out in all weathers. I didn't care. Like it made it more enjoyable because you've got different energies going on. You know what I mean? But I can't do that anymore. And this is my new normal. So I'm trying to get myself out and walking and getting the bits out of it, like being out
Yeah.
outside. We've got a fantastic place that we live in. You can't take it for granted. It is amazing. And
Mm.
you just have to walk 5 minutes up the road from my house and I'm already off road. You know what I mean? So you've just got to do it. And I think that so what if I can only walk at the moment? You know what I mean? So what if I can't do we couldn't go snowboarding last year and I live for snow. I love snowboarding.
Mm.
Again, it's my general junkie. I can't help it. It has to come out. And we couldn't go last year. And it was like, I was really disappointed, but equally, I was like, I can't do this. Like, and
Yeah.
that's okay,
Yeah.
you know, because I don't like to say I can't do stuff, but
Mm.
sometimes you can't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's other factors at play, and you've just got to accept it. And you just got to go,
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's
it
it.
happens. And
You have to,
give yourself a
and
break. You know
you
what I mean?
you do have to be flexible. You have to adjust,
You
and
can't
you can't.
mourn stuff that you've lost. Do you know what I
Well,
mean? Because
you
that's
that is part of the change process. It's denial, anger, blaming. That's part of the mourning process. But then you can get stuck there, and that's where you get depressed. Or you can go, do you know what? I'm going to accept my life, my lot, and then I'm going to learn, I'm going to grow, I'm going to adjust. And then I can hear that's exactly what you've done. So, what, just to tie things up in a bow, what does it mean to you when someone's brilliant? What's your definition of brilliance?
I don't know. When somebody's just really good at something, they just stand out.
Yeah,
They look, it looks like it's natural.
yeah,
They just are. It's not like they're forcing it. It's not like they're trying to make you think that they are something. When somebody is just naturally either really good at something or they found their line of success, do you know what I mean? And they're just running with it. Um, I don't know,
and
like, you know,
what
just
about, so what about summarize a brilliant mindset?
stay positive. Like, see everything not as a not as a not as a challenge that's going to floor you,
Hmm.
just as a just as another obstacle and another challenge that you're going to get over. Whether
Yeah,
that's just getting out of bed in the morning because your cortisol's in its boots and
yeah,
your body's not doing anything, or whether that's jumping out of an aeroplane at 13,000 feet. Do you know what I mean? It's like it doesn't matter the scale of the challenge, one step in front of the other. Just
yeah,
keep plodding on. Just
yeah.
baby steps. That program. I watched this program years ago. This film years ago called What About Bob? Like years ago with Bill Murray in it,
Mm.
and basically, I see I've forgotten his name. Matey boy out of Close Encounters of the First Kind. It may come to me in a minute. Um, he's a psychiatrist and he goes on holiday and his client follows him and he's been teaching him this book he's written and it's called Baby Steps. So everything has to be baby steps. Do you know what I mean? And so that, I mean, it's a funny film. You got to watch it, but that kind of just resonated with me. It's like don't don't try and tackle it all at once. Just
Yeah,
take little baby steps
yeah,
every day, little baby steps. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And just try and chip away at it. Don't
yeah,
see it as this. Don't don't enter something with a defeatist attitude because if you do, it's going to fail. Do
yeah.
you know what I mean?
You're
So
buggered.
yeah, exactly. So go into it going, I'll give it a go. Do you know what I mean? It genuinely might be rubbish, but I'm sincerely hoping it's not. Because
Uh,
do you know what I mean? You don't want to look an ass at the end of the
that's
day.
it. And on that note, I will conclude. That was brilliant. Thank you, matey. If you'd like to be notified when the next episode drops, remember to subscribe. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone who might benefit. Finally, if any of these topics have sparked your interest and you'd like to work with me, you can apply for a free discovery call at estellereed.com. Let's see if we're a good fit. You'll also find plenty of free resources there. I'm Estelle Reed, executive coach, speaker and best-selling author, and this has been the Optimizing Your Brilliance podcast. Thanks for listening. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. Please consult with a qualified professional for any specific advice related to your situation.